Good morning and welcome to Caretaker's Corner, where we discuss everything that has to do with taking care of our elderly disabled parents, our disabled spouses, our adult disabled children, and ourselves. My name is CJ and I am your guide on this journey. And today we are doing the last of this series, number 5, and it is micro-affirmations. Now, first thing, don't start thinking something hinky. I know when you mention affirmations, people tend to get this feeling that we're talking like hoodoo or something like that, and we're not. This isn't some sort of a weird hippie type thing, although there's nothing wrong with hippies, by the way. But it is a way of reminding ourselves how good we are. And sometimes we personally need that affirmation, especially in a case where you're probably not getting it from those around you. In my case, I do get a lot of validation from the people, number one, that I take care of, and number two, my friends and everyone that are around me. But I still have a bunch of affirmations that I use on a daily basis to help me get up and go and keep going. And I want you to know there is absolutely nothing wrong with going through affirmations. It really does help keep you in a rhythm. Like at work, if I work in a factory, and when I am having to help out on the line or something, I've got a series of affirmations that I go through in my head that helps me keep my rhythm going. And if I think of something that's not in that affirmation, it will slow me down a whole lot. Or a very positive exercise. Now, I've got a great friend, a bunch of great friends, but I've got my two best friends, Robin and Melissa, who we share a house with. Robin crochets, and Melissa has bought me, I'm saying Robin crochets because she can crochet these, and Melissa has gotten me a bunch of, if you see back here, I put them all up on display for you. A bunch of these little, I think they're called wobbles, and they all got little affirmation cards on them. Like this one says, "You are my favorite kind of magic." And then I've got this one that says, "You're cowly awesome. A teeny cow is always here whenever you need a cheer." So, and then one of my favorites is "Positive shark. I may be a tiny shark, but I believe in you. Go do your thing." These are just cute little things, and like these I keep around the house, and they just help you have a better day when you see them. One, they're cute, and two, they've got the little positive statements. So I'm going to give you a few suggestions, other than that one, to help you with positive affirmations. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with them, and at this point, there's a chance that you're probably on the brink of having a breakdown and you need the extra help. So here we go. My number one suggestion is the human limits affirmation. As caretakers, we have a lot on our plate and we take on more than we're actually able to do. As I've said multiple times, we overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can do in a year. And so here's your affirmation for that. I am a human being with finite energy, not a machine with an infinite battery. This helps us remember that when we're not getting everything accomplished, that we are not able to accomplish everything. While I like to say we're superheroes, we don't have those superhero powers. We are limited in what we can do during the day and how much we can accomplish. And sometimes we're just exhausted. I meant to accomplish a lot yesterday, but I just took the day to spend with Barbara. We watched some TV. I got a bunch of errands done yesterday. But then we just watched a bunch of TV, relaxed, and spent the afternoon together. And so sometimes your body just needs that downtime. And you need to remember that you are not a machine. Number 2 is the safety first affirmation. They are safe, they are fed, and they are loved. That is a successful day. And that is what we are trying to do every day, is just to make sure that our loved ones have shelter, food, their medicine, and they know that we're there for them. Now, we cannot, here's something I want you to remember, and I think I'm going to do a video on this. Their happiness is not your responsibility. I want you to let that one sink in. And that is basically what this one is kind of helping out with. You love them, so they're loved. but their happiness is not your responsibility. So there's another good affirmation for you. And the reason this one works is it strips away the Pinterest perfect expectations of caregiving and focuses on the core pillars of health and security. The basic reason we're doing this. What have I said before? Your perfect caregiving is not somebody else's. Because not only do we have what we're doing as far as our responsibilities, we're dealing with living human beings that have minds of their own, and they want things a certain way. I mentioned about the circle or the semicircle. When somebody becomes disabled, they tend to want things where it's easy for them to get to, which makes perfect sense. But it may be messy, it may not be organized, it may not be somebody on the outside's view of what perfect is. So remember, another validation is my perfection is not somebody else's perfection. You have number 3 is the emotional validation affirmation. I can feel frustrated with the situation without being frustrated with the person. And that is a big one. You've got to try, and this is what this one helped with. It decouples the stress of the task from the person that you love. Reducing the guilt that comes with the feeling of being burnt out. You get frustrated, you want to yell at the person, but you know it's not your loved one's fault that you're all stressed out. They're not responsible for the situation that's going on at that moment. You don't want to lash out at them, but then you feel guilty for even getting upset over the situation because you think you're upset at them. You're not. You're upset at the situation in general. Maybe some things may not be going away. For instance, you're making breakfast. Your loved one calls for you. You go to see what's going on. It turns out may or may not be an emergency. And then you go back and you may have burned the eggs or something. Well, now you're upset. You've burnt breakfast. It may not be salvageable. It may be salvageable. And in your mind, you're like, had I not walked away, I wouldn't have burnt the breakfast, but it's not their fault. They needed you at that moment and you went to respond. It's not their fault. It is the situation's fault. So that's a big one. Remember to separate your feelings about the task as opposed to the person. Number 4, the rest as a tool. Affirmation. Taking 10 minutes for myself is not a withdrawal from their care. It is an investment in it. This works because it reframes self-care as a functional necessity. If a caregiver breaks, the system breaks. And I've often said over and over, you need to take your 15 minutes every day for yourself because you have got to reset yourself and you have got to be in good health and good emotional state to be able to provide the care that your loved one needs without breaking yourself. I see it every day at work. A lot of people are now caregivers in their homes and they're working full time. I see this one quite a lot. They're not taking the time they need for themselves and they are breaking down mentally and physically. I cannot tell you enough how important that one is. I'm going to say this one again. It's the rest as a tool affirmation. Taking 15 minutes, because I specify 15 minutes, for myself is not a withdrawal from their care. It is an investment in it. And maybe if we think about our 15 minutes as an investment in them, it'll be easier for us to take it. But we have got to take that time because if we don't reboot us, we're going to break down. And when we break down, who's going to take care of our loved ones? Who's going to take care of us? So remember to take that 15 minutes. It's very important. Number 5, the release of control affirmation. Yeah, this is one we're not good at, period. I cannot control the progression of this illness, but I can control how gently I treat myself today. So this one works. It's much of a caregiver's stress comes from trying to fix the unfixable. This brings the focus back to what is actually manageable. Barbara's condition is never going to get better. Her basic, not the whole where we had the dog accident last year, but her original disability is not going to get any better. I can't control that. It took she and I both went through a period of time where we were researching, we were trying to come up with solutions, we were hoping to find cures. We went through all of the latest and most innovative technology with her condition. It's never going to get any better. Not without a miracle and a lot of research, and there's not a lot of research into her condition. It's not going to get any better. And I had to come to a point where it's like, okay, how do we work with it? How do we work around it? How do we communicate with one another to know what the situation is? I cannot control her condition. I can't control the progression. I can't slow it down. What I can do is make life as organized and easy as possible and fluid, which is not something I'm good at. I like schedules and everything else. So when we plan something like a major event, we have to be fluid on, like, we have to wait, and we can't get necessarily the best prices on tickets for events because we don't know until closer to the event if she's going to be able to go. We have to take a lot of extra equipment with us because we're not sure if we're going to need it once we get there, if she's going to be like for instance, we usually have to pack like a wheelchair or a walker just in case she gets exhausted while we're doing something and she needs it. So I mean, these are things that we have to do to make life more productive and easier for our loved ones, but the disease itself or the condition itself we cannot control, and we need to remember that. And if there's one thing caretakers are not good at, it's relinquishing the ability to say we don't have control of the situation. So number 6 is the small wins affirmation. And you know how I suggest we always celebrate the small wins. One small act of kindness, even just a shared smile, is enough to make this day meaningful. On days when nothing got done, this reminds the caregiver that emotional connections is the highest form of productivity. Like I said yesterday, I didn't get a lot done. I got everything I meant to get done finished, but I was going to shoot this video yesterday and I did not. We got to remember that if we spent time with our loved ones, that's a good thing. We have to remember that if all we did was get out of bed and make sure that they had their food, their medicine, and a safe place, then we did good. Like I said, back to the overestimating what we're able to do. Some days we're just physically worn out. And the best we can do is just to make sure that they have their food, their medicine, a clean bed, clean clothes, the basics. And we have to consider that a win. When we do that list of 5 items every night, and the next day we start going through those, if we don't get them all done, celebrate the fact that we got some of them done. If you have trouble with this, start with small things like celebrating, hey, I got out of bed. I got them out of bed. I fed them. I gave them their medicine. These are all wins. And it's not just for our loved ones to celebrate the small wins to help them get better emotionally in their progress, but it's to help us also. So number 7 is the identity affirmation. I am a son, daughter, spouse first, and a caregiver second. My relationship matters more than the checklist. It helps prevent role engulfment, where the person loses their sense of self to the duties of the job. I'm Barbara's spouse first. My caregiving is part of being her spouse, but I'm her spouse first. And sometimes we need to be in the role of spouse or parent, daughter, son, and remind them that this is what we are. I know with my mom recently, I've been having to remind her of that. So yeah, we have to remember what our actual identity is. Okay, number 8, the patient's affirmation. I am learning a difficult skill in real time. I'm allowed to be a beginner. Many people are thrust into caregiving without training. This grants permission to make mistakes and learn without self-flagellation. Yeah, I didn't pronounce that right, but it's all right. Without beating ourselves up over it. I think that one's pretty much well self-evident. We get stressed out because we can't learn things quick. I have a buddy at work that has had to go so far as to learn how to do home dialysis for his wife. I mean, that requires putting a needle in her, and I'm like, that is a crazy skill to have to learn. I don't know. I mean, I have to give Barb a shot every month, but it's just one shot once a month. I'm not sure if I could. I'm going to say I'm not sure, but I guarantee if I had to, I would. But we have to be patient while we're learning. And in his case, he was freaking out because his learning process was actually having to cause pain to his wife. And he was not fond of that. And I don't blame him. I haven't had to learn to do anything like that. And I've kind of been a caregiver, a medical caregiver, in some form or another most of my life. So a lot of what I discuss with you guys is just stuff I've learned over the years, and I'm putting it out there to the world. And it took years for me to learn some of this stuff. So we need to be patient with ourselves when we're having to learn new things. Like when I was having to change Barbara's dressings every day, clean her wounds, that takes a lot. That was on a whole nother level than I've typically been used to. So when we're doing this, we need to remember to love ourselves like we love our loved ones, and to be forgiving when we start losing our patience, and to be forgiving when we're not doing perfect. We really need to learn to forgive ourselves for a lot of stuff. So number 9 is the future self affirmation. My future self will look back on this time and be proud that I showed up, even when it was hard. It provides a long perspective, helping to pull the mind out of the immediate, overwhelming moment. Sometimes we can be hit with a lot of stuff all at once. We need to step back, breathe, and either say, is this a today problem? Is this a tomorrow problem? Or is this something that I can do slowly? Because sometimes when we get that overwhelming feeling, we just need to remember that, break it down. If you break it down into steps, then you can easily find something that's totally overwhelming and make it not overwhelming. Put it into manageable steps. And then in the future, when you look back, you're going to say, that was really easier than I thought it was. At work, this happens all the time, and it's the easiest thing to do is just sit down and start writing it out. And then number 10, the self-compassion affirmation. I deserve the same level of care and patience that I provide everyone else. It highlights the empathy gap caregivers often have, being incredibly kind to others while being brutal to ourselves. And we can be brutal to ourselves. Back to what I said a few minutes ago about we need to be better at forgiving ourselves and remembering that we're not superheroes. We're not machines. We don't have unlimited batteries. We don't have unlimited energy, and we don't have unlimited patience. We need to remember that we're learning, we're human too, and we're subject to the same physical ailments that everybody else on the planet is. I know we tend to want to be a lot more careful. Like I said earlier, if something happens to us, who's going to take care of our loved ones? Who's going to take care of us? And we need to remember we need that same love for us. We need to give ourselves that same love for us that we provide for those around us and that those that we take care of. There are some times where we have to put ourselves first in order to be able to do our jobs as caretakers. And I'm going to make a suggestion that you anchor the affirmations with a physical task. I know it sounds weird. So I mentioned earlier that I work at a factory and I have a set of affirmations I use when I am on the line, and it helps get my rhythm going for that process. The actual process of running the line is automatic at this point, so I don't really have that issue, but sometimes you just get out of sync. The affirmations help me stay in sync. I'm going to suggest that you use this for every time you wash your hands, say an affirmation. Every time you boil a kettle, turn a kettle on, or you're washing dishes, have a different affirmation for it. You don't even have to use the affirmations that I provided here. You can get all sorts of affirmations online if you can't come up with one yourself. One I like to use is I am happy, I am healthy, I am fit, and that helps me out. Trying to remember that you are human, and when you start to get stressed out, have a good one for that. And that way you can say that over and over. It also helps to center you and calm you down when you start getting agitated, upset, or angry. I hope this has helped. I'm going to put a 7-day caregiver reset challenge in the pinned comment. A quick update. We got a date for Barb's surgery, so we're stoked about that. I will provide updates as that goes on. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about what I've discussed, please put them down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I hope that this video has helped you. If it has, please share it with others. We're a small but growing community, and I really have the vision of I'd like to see caretakers all over the world helping one another with different ways of being caretakers. Maybe we can provide some of the best information and suggestions on how to be a good caretaker or how to solve a problem that you're having. So please share. And if you have any suggestions for a video, put it in the comments. I read all the comments. At this point, it's really not that hard, but I do read all the comments and try and respond back. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and I love you all.